Joining me now, David Rohde, NBC News Senior Executive Editor for National Security. His new book, a terrific one, is titled Where Tyranny Begins: The Justice Department, the FBI, and the War on Democracy. David, welcome back to the show. It's good to see you. As you well know, Trump previously said he would end Russia's war in Ukraine on day one. There are no reports yet of him speaking with Vladimir Putin this week. Do you read anything into him handing Elon Musk the phone during the Zelensky call?
It was extraordinary. Musk has been a huge supporter of President Trump, and Musk has, played a role. He initially backed the Ukrainian government by giving them Starlink, but then, limited the access to Starlink. So it was a very brief encounter. My colleague Dan DeLuce got some more detail that essentially Musk walked into the room, said hello on the phone, and then left the room. But it's, I think, a sign to Zelensky that, he has got to compromise. And there's various plans that have been put out there, none of them specific, but all of them look bad for Ukraine. It would essentially have to give up the territory it has now and give up NATO membership in exchange for the war to end.
Which is very superficially that description, which I had not read, that he just walked in. I mean, it could be just kind of some braggadocio, right, on Trump's part. Oh, look, Elon Musk just came in. Say hello to, Vladimir Zelensky, and then leaves. It could be that simple.
Well, but it's also a way to say it was impromptu and it wasn't planned, but there's a message there. I mean, he is the world's richest man. He blocked the Ukrainians from using Starlink to carry out certain attacks near Crimea. Maybe those Ukrainian attacks were, too aggressive, but it's amazing to have a private company and the world's richest man who then backed Trump for president, who is called for, who opposes U.S. aid to Ukraine. That's a signal to Zelensky. Asked to compromise.
Yeah, 100%. There is an underlying message, however it came about. Okay, so the French newspaper Le Monde, it declared Trump's re-election the end of an American world. President Macron told European leaders that Trump was elected to defend the interests of Americans. So the question Europeans must ask is, are they ready to defend the interests of Europeans? Give me, David, your sense of Europe's concerns now.
It's clearly NATO, and it's back to Russia. I mean, the aggressiveness of the invasion of Ukraine and the aggressiveness of the Biden administration's support of Ukraine was the post-World War II order that the U.S. would help Western Europe defend itself from an aggressive Russia. Trump is ending that. Trump has said that, Ukraine has to defend itself. It's a much more isolationist program, and given, I guess, economic issues in the U.S. that appealed to voters. But the key thing will be, how does Trump end the war in Ukraine in a single day? How will Americans, view a triumph for Putin? And that's the challenge here. We do, in many ways, live in an interconnected world. Trump is saying he can sort of end that and help Americans. I'm just not clear it's going to be that simple.
I was going to say, do you think that could even possibly happen in one day? Or is that a campaign slogan?
I mean, it's and both sides use campaign slogans, but that's a campaign slogan. Vladimir Putin is very shrewd. He's going to get the best deal he can. He knows that Trump has promised to end American military aid to Ukraine. That gives Putin enormous leverage. He'll push for the best deal he can get. They're gaining territory, so it's not clear this will end in a day or many days or even months.
Trump also campaigned on slapping up to 60% in tariffs on all Chinese exports to the U.S., and Chinese leader Xi Jinping reportedly told Trump this week both countries stand to lose from confrontation. What do you expect there?
Confrontation, and that you'll have China put very large tariffs on American goods. A lot of American companies, manufacture goods out of China. Elon Musk depends on, most Teslas are manufactured in China. So again, it's not that the globalization and an interconnected world has been good for the American working class, but sort of tearing that up and reversing it overnight is not going to be simple, given how so many components made in China are part of goods that are also manufactured in the United States. So it didn't work in the first term. China didn't back down immediately. We'll see if it works in the second term.
Here in the U.S., Trump has made more than 100 threats of DOJ investigations or prosecutions, and his enemies list includes President Biden and his family, Liz Cheney, judges in his civil and criminal cases, journalists as well. We've seen this before with James Comey and Andrew McCabe. So how likely is it that anyone at FBI, David, would even attempt to push back against new efforts to politicize the Bureau?
Look, Trump's emboldened because the Supreme Court ruled this spring that he has absolute immunity. They gave him a new power to order criminal investigations. No president has had that before. But the individual agents and prosecutors that are asked to carry these out, they don't have immunity. So in our system, you cannot charge someone with a crime without probable cause. So there could be prosecutors, FBI agents, judges who will refuse to bring about these trials. But I just think there will be criminal investigations. There will be prosecutors who resign and refuse to carry them out. There'll be tons of press coverage. There'll be tons of legal battles. And my concern is that that slows down the central work of the Justice Department and the FBI, combating crime in the U.S., combating Russia and Chinese spying. And so, again, and look, well, he won the election and he's got a mandate and he should carry out his promises. So, but I don't think it'll be as simple as for Trump to simply lock up all these people. It will intimidate people and change their lives, but it won't be necessarily that simple.
I'm going to expect to see you often, my friend, as we go through all of this. David Rohde, thank you so much.